How's it going, everyone? Mad Spartan here, and today I'm bringing you a Path 4 Mystic Mutant Gate guide for you guys, which will probably be the last guide for Epoch of Pain. Only because I don't have an answer for that Cassie path. So unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be coming out with a guide with that. And if I do, it'll be so much later. So it'll probably be like you guys won't even need it or want it at that point. But I was fortunately able to get this path done, which a little bit of backstory. After I cleared those two paths with the other guides, you know, the Cosmic Skill and then the Science Tech for both of them, I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do the far right paths. I tried this path first, and it was very difficult. I didn't know who to use for it. I had a very tough time making a team. Any guides you look up all say Kushala, Deadpool X-Force, Dazzler. If you guys don't realize, those are not characters I have. So we had to think outside the box. Watched a couple of guides, but they're all with characters I don't know how to use. So, or no, I don't have, but I also don't know how to use them because I don't have them. So I had to kind of make it up. And I went with Storm X because I wanted to use her for the Annihilus because I felt as though she was a really good option for it. I didn't have any plan for the Tigra because the Tigra is very difficult if you don't really know what you're doing, and I don't. So in my head, I was like, alright, I pretty much got a handle on everyone except for the Tigra. So I'm okay with just dying a million times the Tigra. I also have no idea how to dex Viv Vision's SP1, so I had to practice that. For those of you that don't know, the road path for this one is every time they're in the corner and you hit them, they reflect like 25% of the damage that you do to them back at you, which is a lot. You end up just dying. So you actually have to constantly let them out of the corner. It's kind of frustrating, I'm not going to lie. The first fight is Spider-Ham, who is actually fairly easy. You could pretty much beat him with anyone, especially if you know like how to counter someone who's evading, like know not to like get hit by it and all that. So how the fight goes is he's going to give you a ton of power stings because he has plus 100 or 200% ability accuracy, so he's evading all the time. They're going to pick a special at random, 1, 2, or 3. When you throw that special, you get like a damage reduction, basically from the power stings. Each debuff, I think, making a damage reduction by like 35% or something like that. So you need 3 of them at least to not take any damage. And then you actually reflect the power sting damage. So I actually prefer going with Werewolf by Night here, because another thing that Werewolf by Night thrives for on this path is that he, Spider-Ham actually auto-blocks you when you go into this fight, so that you can't stay at 100 and willpower regen, but Werewolf by Night is immune to heal block. So he's going to be able to take this Spider-Ham down and stay at 100% health at the same time. So you guys are going to be seeing here, we're going to be trying to time our howls so that we actually gain over a bar, so we gain more of those lycanthrope charges. I'm not sure what they're called exactly, but, and as you can see here, it's constantly swapping and letting us pick, it's picking a special for us. So we're going to throw the SP2 here, and as you can see, that protection kicked in, so we didn't take any power sting damage, and it reflected back. Also, because it is a class disadvantage, we're probably going to be reflecting a little bit more damage than usual. So, as long as you can kind of stick with it, you're pretty much fine. The best thing is, even if you get hit, you heal all your health back. I think this might have been the only perfect run I had against Spider-Ham. All the other ones I would get like hit or clipped somewhere, and then I would just reflect it all back, and then I'd regen it, because his own regens like it's like 0.5% of his missing health or something like that. I'm not really sure. But, if, you know, the higher is, the less regen he has, but he's constantly willpower regening for like 780 or something like that, because there is no Despair Mastery for someone like this Spider-Ham, so it's pretty fine. As you can see here, just throw that SP2. I almost nailed the dex, and then I realized I was like, I'm just going to get hit by this. I'm not good enough to do this. We're patiently waiting for the node to switch to the SP2 here, trying not to get to that SP3, and then just throwing the SP2 while he's stunned. It's easier that way, just parry, throw the special that they ask. And as you can see here, we're regenning for 390, and then when we get our lycanthropy curse or something like that, we actually end up regenning for a crap ton, you know, 814 a tick. The regen itself probably isn't doing a lot, but the willpower regen is probably what's keeping us alive. So him being immune to heal block here is huge. There's also another fight that heal blocks you, it's the Annihilus, but Werewolf by Night doesn't work on that because it has buffed up as well. So as you can see here, we kind of just slowly, you know, we slow down our combo so we're able to throw that SP2, reflect it all, and now we're at 100% health, and as long as we don't get hit really bad here, we're actually going to end the fight at 100% health here. Just take your time. My best advice for you is to not throw that medium, because if he evades the first hit of it, there's a small chance that he'll be able to hit you in the middle of your medium. So I would definitely just, you know, take care with that. Take your time. This took me a long time. This is the best run I had with Werewolf by Night. And as you can see here, it went flawless. It went perfect. Now, this fight was very funny because I had to prepare a lot for this one. This is one of those nodes where you have to... Well, I'll just tell you what the parry... well, what the node is for Viv Vision. And she has actually a very interesting node, which is... It's kind of annoying to deal with. Whenever the attacker well-timed blocks, she gains a phase passive. It's annoying, but if you end a combo, you get rid of a solo flare. But that's not the big part of her node. The big part of her node is while the defender uses a contact attack during her specials, you must parry those hits, and if you don't, the attacker is dealt a burst of direct damage equal to 10% of their max health. And she's special 2 bias, and you're rooted to make it a little bit easier for you. Now, the complete way to bypass this node is to dex her SP1. Now, my thing is... I can't safely dex the SP1. That's why I actually avoided this path. So what I did is I sat on the couch for probably 20 minutes and tried to dex the SP1. And I got it sometimes. Like, let's say 15% of the time I got it. I don't know what it was. It was a little bit confusing for me. So I'm like, all right, I don't want to play the node because obviously it's made that like if you play the node, you're going to die. I mean, it's impossible to parry each hit of the SP2 unless you're like a god. But then that's so much harder than just learning the dex on the SP1. It reminds me of the North Star fight. If you knew how to dex North Star's SP2, there was literally no node at that point. So I'm going in it, and originally I was going to go Chavez. I got to say, my first couple of runs, I did try Chavez because of the attack increase, and she does work. But I'm going to show you guys why Werewolf by Night is the best option for this. I'm going to show... Keep in mind... I keep pausing, I'm sorry. I keep in mind, every single guide I said, all said Kushala for, like, every single character on the path. I didn't have Kushala, so I used Werewolf by Night because he was my only rank 3 Mystic. And sure enough, what do you know? He's like a better option than anyone. So he's going to fight this Viv Vision, right? The key thing you want here with the Viv Vision is because I don't trust my dexes. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to howl to get above that bar. That is the most important thing. We have no way of reducing her armor, so that power drain is going to be hurting us. So I have to howl twice to gain above a bar. So now that I'm above a bar, her SP1 isn't going to be unblockable, and that's exactly what we need. So Dex, it's very delayed. Dex. And then, ladies and gentlemen, for some reason, I was able to Dex the SP1. No reason why. I guess I perform better under pressure. I do not have an explanation as to why I was able to dex that SP1. Now the rest of them are unblockable. So you're going to see... the rest of them are like blockable. So you're going to see throughout the match, there's going to be times where I block a little bit of the third hit and then I dex it. Because I could dex the first 2 hits fine. It's that third hit. And then randomly I'm just like, you know what? Let's just go for it. Let's just dex it every time and show how good we are. Dex, Dex, Dex. I couldn't believe I nailed that twice in a row. Because I didn't get it in training mode. That's another one. Now, I'm spoiler alert, I am going to get hit with it a couple times. Because as I said, I don't know how to dex it. It just happens sometimes and other times it doesn't. She was backing herself into the corner. Which makes it so that we have to let her out because we're going to be reflecting the damage. I'm trying to dash back to make sure that she dashes towards me, so I'm actually able to punish her SP1. I'm trying to get my howl, and I'm being very dangerous with it because I'm doing it, like, in front of her. And now she's slowly pushing us to the corner, which I'm trying to hit her with the light to trigger the evade. She is very SP1 happy when you're in the corner. As you can see, we did get hit with that, which ruined the whole thing. But actually, what I start to learn, which I actually get punished for it later, is while she has the special and then she throws it and she has that evade charge up, if you go in with the medium, she will evade and hit you in the middle of it. Just like what I was afraid Spider-Ham would do. She does that. So what I recommend is parrying until eventually you can stun her and hitting her with the light. Or What I like to do is I was throwing the relic to make sure that it would cash the evade in for me, so I didn't have to worry about it. And as you guys can see, you guys are going to see why Werewolf by Night is so good. Because every time he gains 10 charges, he is regenerating a percentage of his missing health. So in essence, as long as you don't actually die, you're pretty much going to be able to stay alive forever. So in my head, I'm like, alright, that's fine. You know, I'm thinking in my head, let's try to get her down in less than 3 tries. Because I need a few revives for Ares, just in case. I can't guarantee anything. A little bit of an early dex there. We do get hit, so very annoying. So now I have to trigger the parry until eventually she gets stunned. And as you can see here, we do slow down the combo so we're able to trigger it. Because you don't want to trigger it with your medium. I have to dex this. And we land it. I think I get hit by like 4 SP1s total. And you guys are going to be like, but how do you stay alive? You guys are going to see how I stay alive. And it's pretty magical. It's pretty magical how I stay alive. I ranked through this guy for defense. So I didn't really know too much about his abilities. I mean, I know of him, but like I don't know him. So we cut the combo short there and hoping that she would throw her SP1. As long as we're constantly able to end a combo, we are able to refresh that evade timer. So as long as she's SP1 happy and we're on our side and we don't get hit by the SP1, we are able to constantly keep uptime on that cooldown for the evade. So you see I back up here and then I land the deck, so we're able to refresh the evade here. So now I'm thinking in my head, like, actually we're doing pretty well. Obviously there is a substantial life lead between Viv Vision and Werewolf, but like my thing is I'm like, I'm kind of nailing these dexes a little bit. You know, I got the house, so I was able to get 10. And as you can see here, we are regenerating 444. I used the relic to make sure to trigger the evade so we don't have to worry about it. Because you guys are going to see here, I didn't know it yet, but there's going to be a time I trigger the evade on the medium and she slaps me for it. She completely punishes me for it. So, and we nailed, I couldn't believe it. So right there, we did use the medium. Because of her invincibility or whatever, she does end up just slapping us. Not getting hit by the second part of that medium. So now in my head, I'm like, alright, we have to be very careful because it doesn't look like it's going very well. And I actually think, to be honest with you, what's helping me with the Viv Vision fight, now that I'm looking at it now, is I think every time Werewolf by Night fills a bar, he gains, I think, 1 charge. If he gets it from his howl, I think he gets 2. So I think what's helping us is Viv Vision is giving us a bar and then taking it away. So in essence, we're gaining 2 bars of power in 1 combo. So like, for example, if we're under, we'll hit her, get the 2 bars, it'll come back down, and then we'll hit her again, it'll go up and go back down. So in essence, she's actually helping us get to the 10 mark really fast, which, as you guys can see, we are regenerating 615 a tick, which is really good for us. Unfortunately, she did have the evade, so we couldn't punish it, but she did double medium into our block, so I was able to throw that light to trigger it. We get the howl to try to gain some. As you can see here, I don't even know what the hell just happened there, but we got to go back for that. I don't even know what happened, but because of the going back and forth on the meter, you guys are going to see I gain so much. So 2. Then I get power drained. Then the howl keeps giving it to me. 6, 8, 10. What the hell was that? Did you guys see that? See how good that was? I couldn't believe that worked. As you can see there, I perfectly timed that medium, so the second hit of the medium would trigger the evade. I can't believe that worked. In my head, I gotta be honest with you, I didn't know it did that. In my head, I was just like, oh wow, I got it again. I didn't know the specifics of it, but in my head, I was like, alright, as long as I can stay alive till I get the next lycanthropy curse, I'm gonna be able to stay alive. I didn't realize how fast it was going up, because of her power drain with the howl giving me a bar and bringing it down and up and up and up. It was crazy. So now, the momentum is obviously shifting to us. We're killing it. We used the relic to trigger that evade. I couldn't believe how good I was doing on this fight, guys. I can't... You have no idea how scared I was of this Viv Vision, because I don't know how to dex her special at all. It just like, came to me. It was like a blessing. As soon as I logged into the game, it was like, hey, you want to know how to dex it? And then that's exactly what happened. So we're being a little too aggressive here. We backed her into her corner, so we have to back up and let her out of her corner so we don't do that damage. We're sitting on a howl. We got to wait for it to go around. The cooldown is really fast. I did do the combo a little too fast, so I wasn't able to trigger the evade, so we had to slow it down there. And we're right under that 2 bar mark, so as long as we trigger the howl here, we're going to be able to get another lycanthropy curse, which is going to be so good for us. I'm going to trigger the howl here. It seems like we were a little bit under, so we didn't gain that SP2, which is fine. Not a big deal. As long as we have that health lead now, I'm feeling very confident. We did slow down the combo there to be able to trigger the evade charge. And as you can see here, all of a sudden, now we have the life lead. We're killing it, trying to get to that SP2 slowly. We cannot throw the SP2 because obviously, I mean, I could have. But I'm going to be honest with you, I wasn't trusting my SP1 dexes. I know I've been dexing it almost this entire time, but I also haven't. See, look, that's what just happened. That's when I want to do something else. So, we end up throwing the relic here. I don't really know how it works with that. It's almost as if when you dash back and throw the relic, it's like he still howls, because I feel like that happens more often than not. And we're regenerating 590 a second. Because we have more missing health, we are able to trigger the higher regen, basically, because we have less health. So as long as we stay in between this like 15 to 30 range, we are regenerating a lot, and we get a lot of our health back. So as long as we don't like die to an SP1 dex, we should be fine here. And I keep screwing it up. So now we're at 17%, but the good news is we're about to get a howl, which will give us 2 bars, and we're just going to kill it. The game just gave us a howl there. I don't really know how this character works, but I'm going to be honest with you, who cares? Look at what he's doing. 613 a second. We're regenerating a lot of health, basically keeping us alive. And then that's when I realized this second, I'm like, this character is the MVP. I can't believe he's not on a single video. I mean, he might be on a video and I just didn't find it, but I'm telling you, if you look up guides for this path, it's all Kushalas. It's all Deadpool X-Forces. You gotta give some love to this guy. He locks down the Spider-Ham fight, but to be fair, you could take that with anyone. He locks down this fight. The reason why he locks down the Spider-Ham fight so well is because he's heal block immune. So he's able to keep himself alive with willpower regen, which means he gets to go into the Viv Vision fight with full health. And then he can basically just keep himself alive. As long as you don't die, like to an SP1 or anything, even if, like, look, we're getting hit with the last hit, and then we're regenerating all that health back. Like, as long as you have him alive, he is going to stay alive. Look at this. Look at these dexes. I've been blessed by the gods with these dexes. It's insane. He locks down Spider-Ham because he's heal block immune. Locks down Viv Vision because he's just that guy. Who else does he lock down? He fought someone else for me. I don't remember who he fought, but you guys are gonna see. He's the man. Unfortunately, I didn't really want to. When I realized here, I was like, damn, I didn't really think about him fighting Ares because he regens. But we'll get to those abilities later if you don't know what that means yet. Oh, and he locks down the Moleman. I know what you guys are thinking. What do you mean lock down the Moleman? You guys are gonna see, and you guys are gonna laugh because I'm telling you, he's that guy. The next node for the Annihilus, fairly simple, and I have to say, the Annihilus is probably my second favorite fight of all of the Eternity of Pains that have been made, or whatever this is called, the Summoner, whatever thing. He's probably my second favorite fight. He was so much fun, and his node is when he throws his specials, any non-contact attacks, as in projectiles, if they are not parried, you actually take like a huge chunk of your health away. And it also has buffed up, so you need to use someone that has 3 buffs or more. The good news about Storm X is she actually has a permanent 3 prowesses as long as you don't throw any specials. But you guys are going to see we are going to be throwing specials. It's pretty much the same fight, rinse and repeat. There is nothing that changes anything, so you guys are going to see it's actually pretty simple. Another reason why Storm X is so good is because of this interaction right here. Annihilus, when he has his Cosmic Rod, which is that orange thing underneath him, when you try to parry him, he instantly purifies it, gives you a heal block, and obliterates you. But because you're using Storm X, who has the ability of every time a character purifies her stun, she does a passive stun, you are always able to stun Annihilus. So she is actually the counter for this fight. It's just up to you whether you're going to be able to parry that SP1 or not. So as you're going to see here, we get a double medium, and then we get a 5-hit combo. We're gonna make sure he only throws SP1s this game, though. We definitely do not want him to throw SP2s. And as you can see there, I did not parry that attack, so I got a 6,000 burst on top of that. And now that we have 3 buffs, we are actually doing damage. So we have to dash back, he's actually very aggressive. So when you dash back, a lot of times he is going to be throwing his SP1 to catch up to you. So it's pretty safe that you cut a combo short dash back. He'll probably meet you with his special. And we're always going to be throwing this SP2 with 5, hopefully 6 prowesses. And that is the entire fight. It is, you know, wash, rinse, and repeat. It's the same thing. It's parrying the SP1. He's either gonna shrug off the stun or not. Get our 3 buffs. Throw the SP2 over and over and over again. There really isn't anything else to this fight. We definitely have to keep him out of his corner because a normal Annihilus fight with that node, he is constantly in the corner. So actually, it's the complete opposite. You have to like let him out, let him throw the SP1 and all that. And make sure you parry that, because if you miss the parry on that, it sucks. And what makes it so difficult is if he happens to throw his SP2, because it's all basically projectiles, you'll die. You'll die. It's too difficult. I would love to see someone parry each hit of his SP2, though. I think that would be, like, so gangster if you were able to land that. So as you can see here, it's the same stuff. We aren't able to regen because it has a passive heal block. So if Werewolf by Night did have 3 buffs, I would just use them on here and then just willpower regen the whole game. So I actually back myself into my own corner, double medium into a 5-hit combo, and then throw the SP2. We do have 4 prowesses. Basically, all we're looking for is like big crits. There really isn't anything else you can do here. I gotta let you know now, we don't get a lot of those. We don't get pretty much any crits. Towards the end, we might, but the RNG wasn't good. I should have probably put her stat focus on crit rating, but I think I do prowess, like 8% of special attack damage, which is a safe bet for someone like her, because she shreds with her specials. I've also seen Storm was a good option for this path, because she has similar abilities, but I don't have 7-star Storm. Another character I do not have, so you can imagine my surprise when I had to make this makeshift team, and it actually worked. So for those of you that somehow don't have any of the characters like I do, or maybe you're in a similar boat where you don't have them 7-star, or you have too many 6-stars on your team already, this fight, like this video should do very well for you. Werewolf by Night is an absolute unit. You know, Storm X is really good, but if you don't have Storm X, I'm sure Storm can do the exact same thing. Because I think she also has that ability that when they parry, when they purify a stun, she's able to passively stun him. And that's pretty much all Storm X was really used for in this path. There really wasn't anything else that she needed to be used for. I kind of just brought her and Chavez to like piggyback off of each other with the Tigra, because I was fully prepared to die to the Tigra a million times. It's kind of annoying. As you guys can see here, it's the same fight, so I can talk about other stuff. I had to rank 2 my Chavez, which, to be honest with you, was kind of a waste, because I ranked 2 Chavez in hopes that I'd be able to fight the, what the hell was her name that I just fought? Viv Vision. I specifically brought Chavez for Viv Vision, and I brought Werewolf by Night specifically for Moleman. Now, that Moleman fight was tough. You guys are going to see. It's actually pretty funny, the story with that. But you guys, we'll get to that in a little bit. But originally, the plan was to just use Werewolf by Night on Moleman. And then, like, I tried to use other people on Spider-Ham, and I'm like, oh, this is kind of annoying. And then I was like, let me just throw Werewolf by Night at him and see what happens. And then that's when it clicked that Werewolf by Night is heal block immune, so he pretty much just stays alive the whole game on top of, you know, class disadvantage is always good because the power stings do more damage when you reflect them to him. So I was like, alright, let me use him for that. And then I got to Viv Vision a few times. I would try Chavez, I would die immediately. And I was just like, I don't think this is going to work. And then I used Werewolf by Night on my first attempt. I think I died. And then the second attempt is the one that you guys just saw, which was pretty hot. It was pretty hot, that takedown. There's supposed to be at least one more solo on here, but I got robbed. But you guys are going to see. It's alright. It's alright. I'm not going to be upset about it. The good news is this path is done, and I don't have to worry about it. But the bad news is I have no idea what to do for the Cassie path. So as you guys can see, this is the entire fight. If you guys want to skip forward, you can. But I'm going to narrate the rest of this fight because I'm very proud of how I did. There's really nothing in this fight that changes. You know, obviously you're going to be taking some damage here. With Storm X, I specifically went Ice Tempest. I probably should have went Lightning Tempest to gain the stun on each hit. But to be honest with you, I felt like the stun really wasn't necessary, but it was more to do more damage on the SP2. But I do like being able to parry him and glancing it, so, you know, it definitely reduces a lot of the damage through your block, because Storm Pyramid X is kind of a glass cannon. She doesn't really have much health, so her block efficiency is pretty crap, and she doesn't really have much defense or anything like that. So I kind of wanted to keep the glance on there so that she doesn't take as much damage, because you're pretty much just blocking specials all game, and you're parrying to get your opening. So in my head, I was like, you know what? Let's keep her at Ice Tempest so we can glance some hits. As you can see there, he just double medium my block, but we did glance it, so we didn't take as much damage. So I'm definitely happy with that. I don't regret anything that I did on this path. There's nothing I would do different, I guess, except for get a solo on a certain character. But as you can see here, we're doing pretty well. It's just a lot of the same thing over and over again. We have to make sure that we don't ever get hit, because as you can see, the life lead is very, very tight. If you mess up, I mean, we did mess up the SP1 in the beginning, and luckily it didn't screw us. But as you can see, our health is always neck and neck, because I don't really run boost when I do this either. We try to capitalize on the damage when we have the 3 prowesses. You know, even if we just get like 10 hits in before we throw that special, because once you throw the special, you lose the buffs, which means you lose all the shock damage that you're supposed to be doing. So we're pretty much just throwing this SP2 for like raw damage. So if we can get a couple extra hits in there with, you know, the 10 basic hits before we throw it, that would be really nice. And as you can see, he doesn't even take any shock damage because we don't have any prowesses. But we did crit for 50k there, which was nice because we don't really get many crits. So pretty much just a ton of this. We have to just make sure that we kind of keep the relic. There is a couple of times I throw it, but I don't really have much success with it. Like, there's times like he'll dash in and I'll throw the relic, but he's still unstoppable, so he kind of just like eats the first hit and just stands there. So the relic actually wasn't very useful. Maybe if you ran a relic that gave you a buff, you know, maybe it would be a little bit better for you there. Which I think, to be honest with you, I think the Storm Relic actually does give us a buff, but I didn't throw it like at all this game. I was so focused on trying to get this solo, because I'm gonna be honest, when I took that Viv Vision down, I was fully committed. I know it was only the second fight, but I said to myself, I am not going to have that crazy game with Viv Vision and not post that. So I was like, this has to be the run, or else. And then sure enough, it was the run, so I'm happy about that. Another SP2, 150k, which I'm happy about, because it just cuts the game down a lot. A lot of just parrying. We did glance there, so we did eat actually like a big hit there, even with the glancing. So I'm definitely happy with the Ice Tempest. She's not high sig, but I'm assuming the fight would actually get easier the longer it goes, because if you had her high sig, and I think it maxes out at 25, maybe 35%, you'd have both Tempests up, which means you'd gain 2 prowesses every time a bar was filled, which basically means that SP2 would be hidden for crazy, you know, over the course of time when you're taking damage. I think it would have been really nice if she was awake high, but mine really isn't, so I just kind of kept doing what I was doing. Don't ever throw the SP1s here, because you're going for damage. The SP1 doesn't really do anything. He's not going to be taking any damage from the Cold Snap anyway, so there's not really any incentive to be throwing the SP1 at all. I mean, you have Ice Tempest, so I guess you'd be gaining the 3 prowesses fairly quickly, so you'd be able to do more damage consistently. But I do like that big SP2 damage that I'm always building up to. You know, trying to get 5 prowesses at the most. You know, I think one time we had 6, and I think we threw it another time at 4. So, you know, roughly you're pretty much going to be throwing it at that 5 mark every time, and maybe in the middle of the SP2 he'll gain 6. And just like that, 59k burst, 59k crit both times. Pretty good. Knock that down, another solo. Now we have this fight, which, a lot to talk about here. This fight was horrible in the sense that when I was building up for this path was very threatening. I was nervous about the Viv Vision because I didn't know how to dex her special. I knew the Tigra was going to kill me a million times because I wasn't using a buff immune, or I wasn't using like Silk that could just annihilate it. And I was deathly afraid of this Moleman that has every node that makes him impossible to beat, because I feel like the AI will screw you eventually. Now, for those of you that fought him when he was in whatever event he was in, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. There was a couple situations where he will get you in that corner, and you'll have no choice but to intercept, and instead he'll just hold block, let you hit into his block until you're done, and then he'll shred into you because he's unstoppable. And it'll be like a million times of you trying to intercept, and he'll like, nah, I wasn't going in that time, and then he'll kill you. So in my head, I was like, all right, I'm going to die a million times to Moleman. I'm going to die a million times to Tigra. And then I'm thinking in my head, who's good for Moleman? And the only option I had was Werewolf by Night. So for those of you that don't know, he has Hubris, which is a very annoying node, which basically makes it so the defender reduces all incoming damage by 90%. When the defender activates a special attack, the damage reduction is disabled, and when the defender finishes a special attack, they take a burst of damage equal to 350% of the damage that they took during the special attack. Obviously, you can't hit them during a special attack, so you have to use someone that does debuffs. But unfortunately, it's Moleman, and he'll shrug off the debuffs. So what you have to do is you have to never intercept him, because it'll never work. You can't really parry him because you have Bubble Shield. It's down there. He may get stingy with his special, with Spite, and he'll just go to 3 bars and kill you. You have to do a ton of debuffs. A ton of debuffs to do damage on Hubris. The only way to do damage on Hubris is like Power Stings are good, obviously, but like damage over time effects on Moleman. But there really is no options. So in my head, I was like, you know what? I'm going with... A lot of people say Kushala for this. Or I think Deadpool X-Force, because I think Deadpool X-Force has passive bleeds, but I'm not really sure. Werewolf by Night was my only option. Now, the problem with Werewolf by Night, also every 25 seconds, no buffs and debuffs, and you get reset to 0 power. So there's that too. The problem with... Werewolf by Night is his main. I literally was checking if I was recording. I'm like, I'm about to go in and do this and die a million times. The problem was, I literally checked the notes twice. I'm so nervous. The problem was, Werewolf by Night uses Ruptures to do main damage, right? Ruptures is physical damage. Moleman has stupidly high physical resistance, especially with that resistance up that's up there. I don't know how it goes there. Sometimes it comes off, sometimes it comes back on. It's a mess. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be triggering Dex, and we're just going to be hoping that he triggers his special. Sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes he does the SP2 while he has Monster Mass, and then that's it. When he has Frenzy, and that's it. That's an unblockable special. There's nothing you can do about it. As you can see, that timer's going around, so he's going to be power drained. And don't worry, I do fast forward because this fight took me a very long time, like longer than most, and you guys are going to see what my combo meter was. And you're going to laugh, because I'm not going to laugh, because it was horrible. So the key thing here is to be throwing specials to gain distance. So with Moleman, he's going to be constantly super aggressive. A lot of times he is special happy. I got to say, he is very fortunate with that. So when he's throwing that special and that protection comes off, you are able to do some damage. But because it is physical damage, we only took 1% of his health with that burst. So it is a lot. As you guys can kind of figure out, it was very long. But we are able to get our house to be able to get our specials relatively quickly while using Spite for him to get to his specials really quickly. Going to be constantly ending combos and lights, and now he has the resistance up, so his resistance is even higher on top of the 90%. He's in the corner, so we can't throw it. We're just hoping that he throws his special while he has those debuffs, but of course he throws it as soon as you... As soon as the timer goes around, so he doesn't have any debuffs to take any damage from. Couple of tips if you plan to use Werewolf by Night on this. I don't recommend it, but I mean, you guys are going to see it can be done. Can be done. It's a lot of time. You know, you regen all your health with the Lycanthrope Curse, so another really good idea for him. Making sure that you have as many debuffs as possible before he throws his special. And I have to say the most important thing is understand that Werewolf by Night specials not only take a long time, they cover a lot of distance. So what I do is I prefer to keep them when I'm in the corner when I'm back against the wall. That's what I like to do with them. And then when the bad rotation comes and he has you in the corner, because it's going to happen. The AI is eventually going to get smart enough to lock you in the corner and make you trigger your bubble shield. It's just how it goes. So what I like to do is I like to keep the specials handy, either throwing them before the timer goes around so he gets power drained, throwing them if he has like 3 bars and just waiting for the power drain to come up, getting more debuffs to cover distance, getting yourself out of the corner, or getting him more on his side. There's a lot of uses for his specials, especially the SP1. And the Relic with the same thing. I like to do a combo, and as the Tranquility is running around, throw the relic, which means he'll be stunned at the start of a new tranquility rotation. So as you can see here, we do the relic here to get him on the other side. We have a ton of debuffs. We're just hoping that he throws his special immediately. He does not, and it ends up being annoying. So I'm going to fast forward a little bit. As you can see here, 353 hits. You guys are like, all right, that's not that bad. But you guys don't understand. This match took forever. Forever. It took forever. So now he's getting to that SP2, and I know he's going to be throwing it soon. So I get a little nervous here. So this is going to be one of the rotations that you're going to have to deal with here. He's shooting through our block. It's whatever. Damage through your block, or damage in general, as long as it doesn't kill you. Same with the Viv Vision. You're going to be regenning all of it back. You guys are going to see here, I'm going to take some damage, and in the next clip, I'm probably going to be over 90%, but I don't really remember. This is a bad rotation. Right, this is a bad rotation. He's probably going to throw his SP2. You're going to have to block the whole thing. He has his Tranquility coming up, so it's all a problem. The only thing that would make this situation worse is if he was in Frenzy, because if he's in Frenzy and he throws that SP2, he's actually unblockable. So this is what we do. We're going to wait for him to end his combo, bait out a heavy. We're going to throw our Relic to get on the other side. And just like that, now we're back to neutral. He's about to get to Monster Mass, so we're able to capitalize on some damage here. Made it so that we end the combo in a light at all times, because we have to get as many debuffs as possible. Ending the combos in the medium is literally going to do nothing for you, because you're not going to do any damage. So we're going to be pretty much just building up as much ruptures as possible. That resistance up kicked in again. I don't really know how that works, but it does. So we're pretty much just going by this burst damage. The problem is the burst damage is pretty crap. I think at most, I think we took like 3% in like one shot, and we needed like 9 or 8 ruptures, and we needed no resistance up when he did it. Like there was a lot of like things that had to line up for that. So in this case, this is the entire rotation. We're going to be triggering Spite to make sure he gets his specials early, hoping that he throws the SP1. If you get into a situation where he's looking like he's going to throw that SP2 into your block, or throwing that SP2 while in Frenzy, the best thing to do is to either throw your special to gain that distance back, or to throw the Relic to get the stun and try to time it with the Tranquility so he gets all of his power drained. Which is things you have to look for. It's not really stressful, as you guys can see there. We skipped over again. Now we're at 919 hits, and as you can see, I'm at 92% health. So that damage that we took means nothing. We're on 12 on the bubble shield, so that's just another thing you kind of have to keep track of. He is fairly SP1 happy here, so I'm definitely happy about that. We're only regenning 66% now because we don't have much missing health anymore, which is a good thing. There is no real way to like trigger your Howl faster. I think it's basically just a normal amount. It's not like Viv Vision where you can get it earlier. So it's pretty much this over and over again. We're trying to trigger evades here, but he doesn't go for them a lot, like pretty much at all. He has no debuff, so when he throws this special, he's not really going to be taking any damage, but luckily we're going to be out of the corner here. We do have our SP1 on deck in case we want to use it. Looks like we don't use it because we kind of trust that he's going to throw his SP1. If he wasn't going to throw his SP1, though, and it looked like he was getting to an SP2, I was most definitely going to throw my SP1. We kind of time the SP1 so he gains a little bit of power from it and also gets power drained, and it puts new ruptures. Because the worst thing you want to do is get him to a bar, and then the Tranquility happens, and now he has no meter, so you have to give him a bar from Spite, and he has no debuff, so you're not even able to capitalize on that SP1 when it comes out. So, as you can see here, this fight was crazy. It really was. Trying to time it with the Tranquility. I'm holding on to that Relic because that is probably your saving grace for most of this. You're going to be in the corner for a decent amount of the fight. As you can see, he did get out of Frenzy, so we have to get him back on it. Luckily, with Werewolf by Night, you are able to get it fairly quickly, especially with doing combos, because when you're close to the defender, he does also gain a fatigue. So it's just on top of your other debuffs, you are able to trigger it as fairly quickly. And a cool thing that happens is when he's at like 18 or like 17, he doesn't shrug off the ruptures. He'll just go to Frenzy and not shrug them off. It's almost as if like it just counted the debuffs but didn't take them, which is better for us. I mean, it makes it so we get a little bit more damage, as you can see here. Finally locking him down. 1,006 hits, probably more, depending. And it looks like we got him down, and it sucked. I gotta say, 1,008 hits it took. I didn't get hit one time. We got hit into our block, I think, 13 times or something like that, and it was a mess. Now then, sorry, my throat gets dry doing all this. The problem is with this Dani Moonstar, and you're like, oh, we didn't come in on him on 100% health. This was the one fight on the path that I was sure I was going to solo. I was sure of it. Like I had the crazy thing with the Viv Vision. I had the crazy thing with the Moleman. In my head, I'm like, this is a pretty easy path. And I get to Dani Moonstar. It's the one fight that I felt confident about. I do the fight with Stormax, right? Because that's who I used. And then, like, in the middle of the fight, I hear... Oh, hold on. Let me get that back. Super hard knock on my door. Like I thought the cops were at my house. I couldn't believe it. I was like, who the hell is this? And, I checked, it was a UPS guy. Because someone sent me a late birthday present to my house. So, of course... Not only was it a gift, right? I had to sign for it, too. He couldn't even leave it. So I'm annoyed about that. So I had to pause the game. Come up. Yep, that's me. Sign. Bring this huge box in. Get back on the couch. Get back into the zone mentally. Didn't happen. She's doing SP2. I missed the decks. I died. So for those of you who don't know how this node works, the Dani Moonstar basically... doesn't really have any nodes. I mean, you have to hit her. Don't hit her block because she'll go miss. Obviously, if you intercept her, it puts one of the nodes on cooldown. I'm not liking this. Hold on one second, guys. All right, perfect. It did look weird to me, but the main thing is she's going to be getting her combo increased like every zero point 0.1 seconds. It's like a stupid amount. Every time Dani Moonstar gets 10 hits, I believe, she gains a charge, which basically means every time she blocks, she's going to go miss. You're going to get faltered. It's very annoying. It's very frustrating to deal with. It's whatever. The main thing is, though, she is special locked until she gets her SP2. So this is a fight where you have to learn how to dex Dani Moonstar's SP2, which isn't a problematic dex. It's actually very simple, but... when someone bangs on your door like they're Miami Vice and you think you're going to get arrested for a charge you don't have, it ends up being a problem. So I ended up just cutting that because that was a disgrace. Instead of reviving, because I wanted to save my revives, I instead threw America Chavez at her. And the main thing with America Chavez is we're going to try to hit into Dani Moonstar's block without getting punished. Because when you hit into her block, she actually gains like a block penetration buff. As you can see here, very simple dex. Pretty much just wait for her to pull out her gun, and then you combo into it. You can combo into America Chavez's heavy, fine. There's really nothing here. It's another really simple fight if you know how to learn the dex. So as you can see here, very simple. We're even able to combo into like our dimensions here. The only thing we have to keep track of is getting her out of her corner, which is something that you guys are going to see a lot. I'm going to constantly keep dashing back to make sure that I'm able to capitalize on these punishes. She does gain her power pretty fast. As you can see there, it's pretty fast combat power rate. We are going to combo into our relic to keep it going, which gives us all three of our dimensions, because if you cancel a dimension with a relic, you still gain the dimension, which is a pretty cool thing that they got that allows her to kind of work with relics. As you can see here, we're pretty much going to be going for damage every single time. I mean, I think maybe one time like I take some damage or something like that, and then you guys are going to see me throw the SP2 into the blue dimension to gain my health back. She is very aggressive, so you're going to pretty much be able to gain the intercept every single time. Like literally, 4-hit combo, dash back, throw her light, she's already dashing in. She is extremely aggressive. I don't know why they made her that way. I mean, except for that situation, of course. And as you can see, we did hit into her block. It's almost as if like she's not programmed to hit you after you hit her block, because there's a couple of times that I do that by accident, and it still works for me. Even when I was using Storm X, it worked like that. So I think she's just not programmed to, so I'm not going to trust it. But you could, in essence, let her gain more buffs and do more damage with America Chavez, which is something really good to know. Your heavy does give a crap ton of power, so for a situation like that where you can just kind of throw your heavy to give her 2 bars, it works just like that. As you can see here, there really is no node, it's just learning how to dex the SP2. A couple of the fights on here, I have to say, have the same theme of like, they're not hard unless you don't know how to dex like a specific special. The Dani Moonstar's like that, the Viv Vision's like that, and I gotta say the Tigra's like that too, because if you don't know how to dex Tigra's SP2 while rooted, there is a couple times that is going to be thrown at you, and it's going to suck. It's going to suck really bad. So as you can see here, we're able to trigger the evades pretty easy, or the intercepts pretty easy. We did hit into her block by accident, but now she gained a buff, so we do a little bit more damage. If you parry 3 times, you're going to falter yourself, as you can see by those 2 gray falter charges underneath me. If it gets to 3, you get faltered for 7 seconds, which is a lot of time. I think she's supposed to be more aggressive while you're faltered. I think that's how the AI is made for her. But we don't want to see it, so I'm pretty much never parry her again. Throw the SP2, big damage. We took 4% of her health away, which is a lot considering her health pool. I did rank 2 America Chavez for this fight specifically, but actually not for this fight specifically. I ranked 2'd her for the Viv Vision specifically, and I didn't even end up using her. So it was kind of a wasted rank up, which means this probably would have been the first path where I actually didn't have to rank anyone up to do it. Which is surprising because I've had to rank someone up for all the other paths, and I'm sure it won't be any different for the Cassie path if I end up doing it. So, baiting out this SP2 here, she's very aggressive, doesn't really matter. As long as we don't parry, we don't have to worry about that falter. She is very aggressive, so we are able to do another combo into our heavy to gain her another SP2. Make sure we keep her on our side of the map so that we are able to capitalize on the punishes. Because the worst thing that can happen is we punish it, and then we're right in the corner, so we have to let her out. So as you can see here, I throw the relic into the second dimension, so I'm able to gain that, and then doing the combo into the first dimension so we can gain all 3 dimensions and do as much damage as possible. She's not awake, so we don't gain the increased potency from her dimensions, which would only make this fight last less time, but as you can see here, there really is no node, so you can use any one of the characters on your team of 3. If I had to tell you, I think Chavez was probably the only character that could have been taken off my team. I think Storm X was too valuable because she had to take Annihilus, and I think Werewolf by Night was too valuable because he has to take the Moleman, because the Moleman needs someone that does damaging debuffs. I mean, unless you have... If you have Kushala, go for it, but I don't have her, so I wasn't able to do that. You need someone that does damaging debuffs to do the damage to Moleman with Hubris, so we kind of needed Werewolf by Night. But if you guys think of anyone else in the comments, let me know. My other video is doing fantastic with the null one, so I'm kind of glad you guys are enjoying the guides and actually they're being useful for you. I'm getting a couple comments of like people are using the guide and end up clearing the path, so I'm very proud of you guys. I'm very excited, so very happy that you guys are doing very well with it. I'm glad I can help, because I did not see myself doing any of these paths, and then I blink, and then all of a sudden I've done 4 paths already, so I'm definitely happy about it. I don't know who to rank for yet, but we'll talk about that in another video. So, as you can see here, same exact thing. We're going to throw the SP2 in this case, though, to get some health back, because I know I'm probably going to end up throwing her at Tigra, so I want to get her as much health as possible, because we don't have too many items. I mean, I'm not really farming for revives. I mean, if I get like 2 or 3 revives, in my head I'm like, that's enough to do a road. And I'm just hoping that Ares goes well. I mean, now I pretty much got his number now, so I'm not really worried about it. But like, after this whole road, I only have like 8 revives left, but that does not really say much because I only had like 10 or 11 to start with. So I didn't really do too bad here. Unfortunately, didn't solo the Dani Moonstar, which, if I ended up soloing the Dani Moonstar, I literally would have soloed every single person except for Tigra, and that would have been okay, because that was the only fight I didn't think I was going to solo. So I'm actually kind of annoyed about that. We do throw the SP1 here to gain basically all of our power back. It's hard to trigger an intercept, because if you kind of guess wrong, you're going to hit her block, and that'll be the time that she decides to hit you, so we don't really want to worry about that. We can't parry her too much. The only way to get rid of those charges is to hit her block, obviously, and it doesn't even count as hitting her block unless she doesn't have like those moon charges. So as you can see here, 5%, we're able to do big burst damage with that 17k, and just like that, she's down. So overall, the team is in pretty good shape, so I'm not really worried about it too much. We do have Tigra, and in my head, I've given up mentally on this fight. This fight's annoying. If you stay too close to her, she's going to neutralize you, and every time you're immune to a buff, you gain, like, you get, like, a crazy burst damage. It takes, like, 20% of your health away. It's disgusting. She has there's an alternating unblockable buff that either goes on you or her, so it's either you get it and it's neutralized, or she gets it and she's more aggressive. And you guys are going to see, it does get a little frustrating. In my head, I did not know how I was going to get this down. I was a little bit nervous. It was annoying. You guys are going to see here, it does get a little frustrating. I don't even think you could knock Tigra down with a heavy, because you get like a timer before you have to hit her with a special. So as you can see here, we're going to be canceling our heavies the entire game. She is very aggressive, but for some reason in those situations she's not. I did get greedy. I wanted one more hit, and it ended up screwing me. So as you can see here, we do end up getting our neutralize, which takes a crap ton of our health here. And now we have to dex this SP2, which isn't too bad. As long as you dex the first hit coming in, that's the only hit that's unblockable. So as you saw there, we did dex the first hit and then block the rest of it, basically, which isn't bad, but there is going to be situations where she has the unblockable buff from the node. So as you saw there, she did get it. So I didn't end up parrying her. The good news is Tigra is extremely aggressive when she has the unblockable buff. So you are able to pretty much gain an intercept every time. The neutralize timer is paused during specials, so you are able to cancel like heavies or anything like that into your specials. And of course, this special is going to move her away, so the timer will reset after that. Is paused during Tigra's specials. So as you can see here, in my head, I'm like, alright, I'm just going to keep throwing SP1s. There's really nothing else I can do here. I do end up trying to throw the relic, and that ends up actually hurting me more. Because the relic stands too close to her for too long, and we end up getting the neutralize. So you guys are going to see here, I am going to throw the relic soon and get the neutralize, and then I'm going to know pretty much to never throw the relic again. So you guys are going to see here, we're pretty much just trying to bait out an intercept or parry her, but now she has the unblockable. I was trying to get it for myself so I'd be able to hit her block, and as you can see here, we did throw the relic, and it ended up screwing us more because we got the neutralize, so we have to kind of just make sure we don't gain another buff. And then for some reason, I got the unblockable buff while I had the neutralize, so I guess maybe you can't neutralize that. But as you can see here, it's a lot of the same stuff. I'm trying to get to that SP2 to gain the regen, and it's just not working. It's not working, so it's a lot of baiting SP1. So in my head, I'm like, alright, I'm probably not going to get this girl down, but if I can get her maybe to like 50% health, that'll be a good run. You pretty much have to end all of your combos early, dash back, throw your special, cancel into something, and you'll be fine. But as you can see here, we did gain an intercept. I'm trying to trigger her to throw the SP1, and sometimes she just doesn't. She wants to throw that SP2. It's like the weirdest thing. So we have to dex it fully, and pretty proud of myself for that dex. That dex was pretty hot, I'm not gonna lie. So we do have our relic here, but unfortunately we can't throw it. So the good news is America Chavez gets her SP1 fairly quickly, especially if you have a dimension. You're pretty much never going to have the purple dimension because you're never able to really finish your heavy without suffering from a neutralize, because I think her heavy alone probably takes enough time for the whole thing to go around. As you can see there, we can, like, if we hit her twice and do a heavy, it ends up actually being almost done. So it's a lot of stress of dexing the SP1 fully. Occasionally, you're going to have to dex that SP2. It is very frustrating. And then backing up to gain the intercept. Luckily, Tigra is naturally very aggressive, and then when she gains that unblockable buff, she's even more aggressive, so we're fine. She is going to back us into the corner eventually, so if we have the SP1, we will throw it. Fortunately, we can't throw that relic, or else we're screwed. I ended up getting lucky there. I just mediumed into nothing, and it ended up throwing it in the middle of her heavy, so I got very lucky. Of course, she's SP2 happy, though, as soon as she gets it, so we have to early dex it again, which I'm pretty proud of myself, because I did not think I was going to land that more than once. I was even happy that I landed it one time. So now she's throwing the SP1, pretty happy now. So, doing the intercept, of course she's not aggressive in that case, though. I'm trying to figure out a good time to throw my relic if I'm able to, but unfortunately there really is no good time for it. But we did get the SP2 now, so we're going to be trying to bait out this SP1 and then gaining our health back. I wanted to do it while she had the unblockable buff, which is just a little bit more damage, which gives us a little bit more health because we did it in the blue dimension. And as you can see, the life lead really isn't that much anymore, so we're doing pretty well. In my head, I'm like, alright, I think I'm good. Trying not to trigger the neutralize. Dexing the SP1, pretty much all the same stuff that you guys know. Making sure that we have the SP1 on deck to gain the power gain. That's pretty much it. I mean, I'm pretty much out of things to say for this fight. There's not really much else that can happen. So I feel like I'm saying, a lot. But as you guys can see, it's a pretty easy fight. There's not really much else to say there. So I'm pretty much just going to mute my mic and let you guys watch it. So as you guys can see, it's pretty much the same stuff over and over again. If we're able to land that SP2 while she has unblockable, it is very big damage for us. As you can see there, we have the 2 Furies from her own ability. And as you can see, it's pretty easy. We were able to throw that relic that one time and not gain the neutralize. I'm not really sure how that worked. I think it was like, because she was so outstretched and like Iron Fist like hit her, it just knocked her out in time to restart the timer, which gave us enough time to actually back out there. So as you can see, we're pretty much just throwing the specials, and we're able to get that blue dimension most of the time on the SP2 to the point where we're actually able to keep the regen going. I'm trying to gain as much regen as possible because this is kind of when it clicks for me that I'm not able to... I'm not going to really be able to use Werewolf by Night on Ares because Werewolf by Night regens, which is when we'll go over his abilities now. So this is when we first went up to Ares. The initial thought was I was going to use Storm X and hopefully solo him because of the increased vigor buffs that give you increased attack. You're going to throw that SP2 and it's just going to shred. So we're going to talk about his abilities real quick. As I've said in all my other videos, I do a more detailed breakdown in my first guide, which is the Path to Nebula Path for Science and Techs. If you guys want a more detailed one about that, we can do. You guys can watch that. But for this and all my other guides, we just kind of go over his abilities real quick and then talk about them as the fights go. So, first things first, his attack rating, armor resistances, pretty much any one of his abilities cannot be reduced by ability accuracy. He's immune to special, lock, slow, halt, all forms of power manipulation, and stun. Your attack, crit damage rating, attacks, special attack multipliers, and perfect block chance are locked at their starting values, and you're also immune to grit, indestructible, death immunity, and immortality. So he makes you immune to buffs, so you're not able to use them on him. He's immune to all forms of damaging effects, which is annoying, whatever. When the attacker gains health from a regen effect, so if you use anyone that regens, like it finally clicked for me, Werewolf by Night, he actually takes 400% of the health that you gained and grants it to himself as permanent attack rating. He doesn't regen from it, he just gains crazy attack. So you can use a regen character if you know how to play Ares correctly and never get hit, but who would want to? He respects relentlessness, so basically relentlessness. Wow, I am illiterate. Anyway, that aside, every time you die to Ares, he gives you 1 vigor passive, which is that blue underline thing there, which basically gives you increased attack rating. Every time you die, he gives you 1. So in essence, if you were to die 100 times, you would walk in with 100 passives. When fighting his arch rival Hercules, he gains 1 bar of power every 3 seconds. So he's definitely made to not use Hercules. Not saying you can't, I'm just recommending you don't. Ares' heavy attack cannot miss, be evaded, or interrupted, but it can be punished. It is a shoulder bash, and then he shoots his minigun. The second hit covers the entire arena, so you have to dex it no matter where you are on the map. If you get hit, 60% suppression and 60% wither passive, both lasting 60 seconds, so it's pretty much there for a while. During Ares' special attacks, the attacker cannot move backwards as the Spirit of War cuts off all retreat. So basically, in layman's terms, you are rooted during the specials. Each special starts off the same with a kick, and then they're different. So after the kick, each hit uses a different weapon and requires a different action to be performed in time with the strike. So for those of you who don't understand, these special attacks use different weapons every time he uses an ability. So for example, the SP1 starts off with the axe. For axe attacks, you're going to dodge. And then he pulls out his sword and hits you twice, so you have to well-time block twice. Then he throws a spear at you, or he uses a spear, which you have to throw a light attack during the attack. And then for the SP2 only, he uses his minigun, which you have to swipe up or down to dodge. Performing the correct action prevents the hit from landing and grants the attacker an indefinite 75% vigor passive. Failure to do so results in the attack landing no matter what, and the damage cannot be prevented or reduced. So basically, if you're like unstoppable, you're going to get hit as if you weren't. So it's annoying. So he has different phases like any other endgame boss. He transitions between them, and they're cumulative, which basically means whatever Phase 1 gives him, he has all the way at the end of Phase 5, which is annoying, as you guys are going to see. During Ares' special attacks, time moves 20% slower. With each consecutive phase, it speeds up by 7.5%. So this is kind of their way of helping you, because it's kind of hard to learn how to dodge the specials if they're being thrown full speed at you. So in the beginning, it's 20% slower, and then when phase 2 happens when you're able to get SP1 or SP2. It's actually still slower than the normal game, so it gives you a little bit more time to learn it and kind of figure out which special's being thrown at you. And yeah, pretty much it. Entering a new phase removes all vigor passives. So basically, any of those passives that you accumulated during a phase, once you go to the next phase, he does take them away from you. He turns them into intimidates on himself. So pretty much, if you have a big stack, he's pretty much just going to be sitting in his corner blocking. And then when they run out, he gains an unblockable, an unstoppable, and an indestructible for 5 seconds. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. If he throws his special during that, you are still able to parry, throw light attacks, anything like that during it, even if he's unblockable and unstoppable. Because if you do the right action, it has to be dodged, and it has to give you a passive for it. So that's also a good thing. So you're going to start off in phase 1. Very simple phase. It doesn't really kick in really until the later phases anyway. The attacker's health as a percentage cannot be higher than Ares. So for example, if this guy Ares is at 10% health and you come in with a fully healed character, he will degen you all the way to 10% health, so that you guys have the same amount. And then if you guys are even and you start doing damage to him, he will degen you so you guys have the same health pool. So while the attacker's health violates this rule, they passively degenerate until the two are equal. Obviously, like I said. So phase 2, Ares will now throw special attacks while he has 2 or more bars. So he will not be able to throw specials when he's at 1 bar. He'll be special locked until he gets to 2 bars. Whether he throws the SP1 or the SP2, it is going to use 2 bars either way. So now this is when I put my disclaimer in. You're going to get hit by this special. There's nothing you can do about it. The SP1 and the SP2 are too different at first that you can't... It's very hard for you to differentiate them. The only real way to differentiate them is based off what weapon he pulls off in the beginning. And as the phases go more, it gets harder and harder to figure that out, especially on your first attempt, because the specials get faster. So he's going to kick you. If he pulls out his axe, that's the SP1 dexing. And if he pulls out a sword first, that's the SP2 dex. It's hard to figure that out on your first try, especially. So for those of you that are getting frustrated, who are saying, I can't do it, it's hard, it's too hard to dodge it, I'm letting you guys know now, like, everyone has had to deal with it. All the top YouTubers you watch, myself included, I got hurt a couple times. It took me about 15 times on my first attempt to figure out how to differentiate these specials, let alone dex them. I know that alone, my Titania had 16 pre-fights on her, which means I died 16 times with Titania. I probably died 5 times with Deathless She-Hulk and probably 5 or 6 times with Howard the Duck. So I died a crap ton of times on my first attempt. It's nothing to be ashamed of. As long as you have the items for it, it's fine. Just be prepared to die a lot. It's the only way to learn it. Now I can say comfortably I'm able to dex the specials majority of the time. I'm talking about it probably took me just quickly probably 27 times roughly to beat Ares the first try. Then it took me 4 tries the second time, about 4 or 5 the third time, and this time it probably took me about 5 or 6 just because I suck. So roughly, after the first attempt, you pretty much have his number. You're pretty much able to figure it out. If it takes you longer than that, that's fine. But you should definitely try to learn how to do the dexes. Because as you guys are coming to see, these phases don't really make them harder. It's all about learning how to dex the specials. You don't even have to learn this phase. You can ignore this phase completely and just never punish his specials if you don't want to. If you learn how to dex his specials, you can beat Ares with any character. It doesn't really matter. So phase 3 is Ares special attack can only be punished with an appropriate act of aggression. So he's going to pick basically one randomly, and at the end of a special, he's going to basically renew it and pick a new one. It can either be medium attack into light attack, medium attack into heavy charge, medium attack into special attack, or dodge backwards into medium attack. So performing the chosen act at the end of Ares special attacks prevents Ares from moving or attacking and guarantees the attack will land. So if you're in a situation where you don't think it's going to land, he just gets stunned and allows you to hit him. So you're able to do that. Phase 4, every 20 seconds on a timer, Ares will gain a haste passive for 20 seconds. This timer is paused during Ares special attacks, and while he is intimidated or indestructible, it is reset when he's struck during a heavy attack. So you are able to hit him during a heavy attack to get rid of it. But to be honest with you, you don't have to worry about that. As you can see here, every 20 seconds on a timer, he gains it for 20 seconds, so it's pretty much infinite. But as you can see here, it is paused during his special attacks, so it's never the same. So as soon as his haste runs out, a lot of times he'll still have 5 or 10 seconds left until he can gain a new one. So a lot of times there is a gray area where you're actually able to attack him during the cooldown. So you don't really have to worry about that too much, though. Phase 5, which some people argue is the hardest phase. The only reason why you can think this phase is a little bit more difficult is his specials are stupid fast. You know, remember that? Remember that? They increased by 7.5 for each one? They are now faster, way faster than they are than a regular speed game. So if you don't know how to dex them, then you're going to get slapped a few times. But that's fine. You don't have to worry about that. Ares gains 99 indefinite persistent immortality passives. These cannot be removed except by Ares' abilities. And those abilities are 3 passives are removed whenever any hit of Ares' special attack does not land. So what do you know? Dodging the specials correctly. 2 passives are removed when Ares is intercepted. Now, I know that there's a couple guides out there that figured out ways to get rid of all 99 just by intercepting. Doesn't sound like fun. And it's like guaranteed deaths too, so it's definitely not something you want to do. Not to mention, he is going to be gaining that haste. You know, the one that it will happen. He will gain haste, and you won't be able to intercept him anymore. And 1 passive is removed when the fight starts. For those of you that are completely giving up on this path, completely giving up on this fight, if you were to die 100 times and come back in, he would have no more immortality. So if you want to just do that, you can too. So we're going to go to the actual fight here. I did initially start with Storm X because I did think that Storm X would be the best option here. We pretty much had trouble in the beginning trying to punish his heavy because the timing is a little weird. And the distance, there'd be times I didn't think the distance was a lot, and obviously I'm dexing it late. You can early dex his heavy and be able to punish him, but I just wasn't fast enough. There's going to be a couple of times where I go for that light intercept. It's actually the whole reason why I end up not soloing Ares with Storm X. I go for that light intercept every single time, and it doesn't work. So SP1 now, which is dex, parry, light, dex. It's very simple, especially in phase 1 when it's really slow. You are able to kind of figure it out. And now I'm pretty much just building my passives, those orange buffs over there, and I'm planning to throw this SP2 immediately and just annihilate this boss. So as you can see here, I'm trying to bait out this SP1 again. It can only be the SP1 for the first phase, so once you get the handle on that, you know, multiple attempts, it is a very simple phase. That's probably why it only lasts for 9% of his health. He did hit us, so we weren't able to gain the D-jump, but you guys are going to see later, maybe not on this attempt, but on the next attempt, we're going to be doing a lot of damage to him, and then he's going to be D-genning us to keep us at the same health level. So finally throw this SP2, no shock damage, no crits, so pretty lackluster, but we are building more vigors, so we were able to gain the dex there. Now we have 102,000 on medium attack, so it seems like we're going to be doing more damage on our basic attacks than anything else. We are starting to degen to match his health pool, which is a pretty cool thing. It doesn't really bother you now, but later in the phases it will start to frustrate you, especially when you die and like go in with new people. I'm trying to throw the SP1 here to hopefully put him in his second phase, and now we are in second phase Ares, which the only thing that changes now is now he can either throw the SP1 or the SP2, and he generates 5% of a bar of power on every single attack, whether it lands or not. So as you can see here, every time he dashes in... Oh, my mouse is about to die. As you can see, every time he dashes in, he does gain 5% of a bar of power. He's going to throw it. Parry, light, dex, swipe up for the last of the minigun, and then it's a simple punish. Now, as I said, I pretty much landed the specials majority of the time. I think... you know what? I don't even remember. So actually, yeah, I get tripped up here because it was the SP1 and I was expecting the SP2. It doesn't matter really how many times you fight him. You are going to get tripped up. I mean, unless you're a god, which I'm not. I'm not as good as I think I am. 304,000 damage on the SP2 though. So this is the whole reason why I thought Storm X would be amazing for this. So it's dex, parry, light, dex, which was annoying because I really thought I was going to solo. And as you can see here, the death of me ends up being these light intercepts in the corner. He does not go for these light intercepts no matter what. He will walk up he will walk up light me every single time. I think I have it. And then in my head, I'm like, oh, he's going to end up throwing his SP3. He doesn't, luckily. It's another SP1, so it's dodge, parry, light, dodge. And then the SP2 for the... I think it's been thrown one time. It's parry, light, dodge, up. Or down, depending. I like up, because I think it's a little bit easier. But, it ends up really not being that bad. So, parry, light, dodge, up. And as I've said in the other videos, the grace period for an input is actually very fast. So as you can see here, I did go for the light intercept. It didn't work. And I'm a creature of habit. I end up throwing it again, and I end up dying because of it. So as you guys are going to see here, parry, parry, light, dodge, dodge, swipe up. And as you can see there, I do it very early, and I'm still able to land the dodge for it. So the grace period is actually pretty good for it. So we end up going in with America Chavez now. Swipe up. Now we're able to punish him. We're not able to combo into our heavy, so the only time we're going to be able to gain our dimensions is in the next phase when we get the active aggression that we have to medium heavy. So those are going to be the only times that we're actually able to build our stuff up. As you can see here, swipe up. And we do it very early because the grace period is very nice. And we're going to hit him with just a raw SP2, which doesn't do too much damage. But with the passive charges that he gives us for doing increased attack, we actually do pretty well. We don't really have to worry too much about her dimensions, so it's pretty much just using her. So in this case, I'm thinking in my head, it kind of sucks I'm not able to use Werewolf because he does regen, so he's going to be giving Ares a crazy attack boost. But then I was thinking about it, as long as I never get hit, it really doesn't matter too much. So you guys are going to see later on I end up actually using Werewolf because I think he deserves the kill, especially for that Moleman, Viv Vision, and Spider-Ham takedown. I was like, if anyone deserves beating this Ares' face, it's going to be Werewolf. So I'm throwing my SP2 here with the Vigors. No crits, but you guys are going to see when it does crit, it does crazy damage. So it's an SP2 again, so a very simple dex. Swipe up. The only time it kind of affects me is when it alternates between them. You know, he'll throw like 4 SP2s in a row, and then like that SP1 will come, and I won't be ready for it. So it's probably not likely that I'm going to ever solo Ares. I know every video I'm going for it. It just doesn't look like it's going to be possible. So we're in phase 3 now. He's intimidated, so he's not really going to be dashing in too much. Now he's indestructible, unstoppable, and unblockable, so you're not able to hit him. We now have the active aggression. So as you can see from those albums over there, it's dodge and then throw a medium. So it's something that we have to look for. You don't have to follow it. If you don't follow it, he is going to reversal you, which is, if you don't do the correct action, he will... Basically, it's like he holds up his block and he pushes you back. Hits for about 30k. It definitely hurts, but if you have a tanky character, you're not going to die from it. So you guys are going to see here, this is now eventually when I kind of start learning the active aggressions. And my other paths, I don't really use them too much. So parry, parry, light, dodge, dodge. As you can see, the specials themselves are a lot faster. We did dodge back and throw our medium, which stunned him so we could land the medium, which is the same thing with like medium heavy charge. As long as you do everything correctly, the game will make sure that you're able to land that hit. So we're going to dodge this SP2 again, which ends up being an SP1 actually. Dodging, it's a little bit faster, but doesn't really matter. And once you have it once, you pretty much have it every time. We were able to throw the relic. He does stun from the relic, but he doesn't stun from anything else, so we're not able to heavy or just parry in general. So light, dodge, dodge, throw up, and then we're going to end up dashing back, medium, and then throwing our SP2 for big damage. Hoping we get some crits there. We didn't get any medium heavy prompts until now, so we're not able to build up any dimensions, but now we're able to build up our dimensions, so the next SP2 that we throw is going to be very beefy. So, swipe up, medium, heavy. So now we have the purple dimension, but now I realize I can just loop heavies, especially now that he doesn't have haste. We're able to loop heavies pretty nice. We get a big crit on that last one. Parry, parry, light, dodge. We are medium heavy, so we're able to throw our heavy. It didn't matter that it didn't land. He was stunned, so that we were able to loop it. And as you can see here, we can pretty much just keep looping it. And I actually saw a big opportunity to throw the SP2 with all 3 dimensions, which as you can see was pretty good. We didn't get a lot of crits, but we did get a decent amount, just enough to, you know, take a huge chunk of his health away. We are stacking up these vigors like crazy. 136,000 damage on a medium. The next prompt, we pretty much keep getting the same prompt, dash back medium, which is better for us. I like the ones that you're able to actually combo off of. Like when you get medium special or medium heavy, you're not able to like do a 5-hit combo off of that. So to get one of those is really nice because you're able to do, you know, as much damage as possible. Because, you know, any special could be the death of you. You don't know if you get tripped up, whether your brain's going too fast or your body doesn't react fast enough. Like, you don't know what's going to happen. So to get as much damage as possible, like guaranteed, is really nice. So we're going to bait out this SP2 again. I'm always hoping for the SP2 because in my head it is a much easier dex than the SP1. But they're both kind of the same level of difficulty. I just feel like he is more SP2 happy. So when he kind of trips you up with that SP1. It does end up kind of screwing you a little bit. We are able to land the intercept there, which is pretty crazy because he pretty much wins every intercept you try to throw at him. He does throw an SP1 to try to trip us up, but we were able to counter it, which I'm very happy about. We do the active aggression pretty much correct, so that we're able to loop our heavies. Instead of actually attacking him with a 5-hit combo, I was able to throw my heavy. 258,000 crit heavy. And I guess that's a little bit of a bug where every time you hit him and he goes into a new phase, it does slow it down. But I guess if you're in a 3-hit heavy, it probably slows it down for all 3 hits. So I was wondering if you had someone that did like a crazy amount of hits on a heavy, it would be funny just to see him like slow it down for every single hit. I just think it'd be funny to watch. So if someone did that, I think that would be really cool. So we're trying to bait out this SP2 here. It ends up being an SP2, so the dex is fairly simple, and it's very fast, as you guys can see. We have to do a medium into a special, but luckily, because we're using America Chavez, we do gain a little bit of a power gain when we throw our special. The reason why this phase doesn't really last that long is because all it is haste. He doesn't really gain anything else. It just sucks that we have to start from the beginning with our passives, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, you're going to be able to land it. I do not end up punishing here, so it ends up actually screwing me. I should have punished there, which wouldn't have put me in the corner with a haste Ares. So we're going to go in now with Werewolf by Night. In my head, I've fully committed to... I think Werewolf's going to be the one that kills him. You know, I'm okay with it. I think he deserves it out of everyone. He doesn't take any rupture damage, but that's fine. We're just going to be doing big raw damage here. So as you can see, he was fully healed. So he will be degenning all the way down to whatever Ares' health is at that time. And he is eventually going to be regenning. So I know that Ares is going to get an increased attack. I don't really notice it too much. I feel like it doesn't really matter that he gets increased attack because of the fact that he's going to degen you to 1% health anyway. So it's like whether he hits you for 1,000,000 or hits you for 1, you're still going to die because you're on 1% health. So I feel like, in my opinion, it didn't really matter too much, especially this late in the game. So unfortunately, we're in a kind of a bad rotation here. We have to bait out a heavy and hope that we can get the punish. So we were able to. He is going to throw that special, and we keep gaining medium heavy, which would have worked wonders when we use Chavez, but apparently we only get it with Werewolf by Night. So it is an SP2 dex, which is fairly simple. Parry, parry, light, dodge, dodge, swipe up. I always want to combo my heavies into the specials, but only certain characters do that. I end up screwing myself more than anything when I try it on other characters that it doesn't work on. So as you can see here, we did just throw our SP2. It did some big damage. Nothing crazy. The big damage comes from the ruptures, and unfortunately we can't do any damage with that, so we're pretty much just building our attack from dodging these specials correctly. We get another medium heavy prompt, which is pretty nuts. I was able to loop the heavy faster than usual right before he got the haste, and then I gained a howl, so I'm all the way back at my SP2 already, so I'm pretty much just gonna nail him with this as soon as possible. Hit him with the heavy, and I'm too nervous to land it. I should have just thrown the SP2 there because I was unblockable and unstoppable, but you know, you live and you learn, it's whatever. As you can see, the Curse of Lycanthropy is actually keeping us alive more than the degen. So we're actually staying at the 25% mark, which is pretty gnarly because we're supposed to be degenning and we can pretty much just stay alive. You're going to see when we get to 1% here, we're actually going to be regenning more, and we're going to actually overpower the degen and go a little bit higher, which is pretty cool. His regen is pretty overrated. Not overrated, underrated. It ended up bailing me out in so many attempts. So we have to throw the SP1 to do the right active aggression, which is what we want because it puts him in the corner, so it's the most amount of time possible to let the 5% of a bar of power get him to a bar. So we end up dexing a little bit early, but luckily we were able to recover fast enough to dex that kick. And we get medium light, which is my favorite prompt that they can give you because you're able to do a 5-hit combo with it. It is very good here. I throw my SP1 hoping that he goes to 1%. And waiting for this SP2, and he just throws the SP1. It's like my brain turned off for a second, and I couldn't believe that that happened. So we're going to fast forward to the end here. He's now in his last phase, 28 immortality charges, but because we started the game, he's now at 27. We did use a 40% revive, which I ran out of level 1 revives. I am literally running on 8 8 items now. I think I started the game with like 11 or 12 or something like that. Not really sure. But roughly in that like 11 to 13 range is what I had. So we're going to be dexing the SP2. It is extremely fast. And unfortunately, it did not kill him. So we have to dex one more special. So I'm hoping that this is a special that kills him. He does have haste, so we have to make sure we don't try to intercept him like by accident. It does end off on an SP1 dex, light, dodge, active aggression, but it didn't matter because he was at 1% health, and just like that, we killed Ares again. He is down again by Werewolf by Night, the GOAT. So we do end up finishing. We get our rewards. We do end up getting a mutant stuff, 1 to 2 gem for him, which I'm saving for Blob, and we do actually have enough to open a 7-star Awakening Gem Crystal, but we're not going to open that this video. And we get a 7-star Mutant Crystal, which is very exciting. I was thinking about saving it because I really want Blob or Armor if they ever add her into the game. Because I really want Armor. She's like one of my favorite characters. But we do end up opening it. And in my head, what I'm going for here is Onslaught or Warhead. I think she's really nice too. But I wanted Onslaught because I just think he's a powerhouse to have. Really nice character just to have in general. And I think he's really good for Battlegrounds. He's like really tanky, basically unkillable depending on what the node is for Battlegrounds, or if he's rank 3, like it's very hard to get him down. So I was really hoping for Onslaught. I know Sunspot's good, but I don't want to learn him, and I don't want to learn Professor X either. So there really wasn't many choices to choose from. So we end up spinning it. I'm hoping for someone good. I already have Dust Awaken, so it's not like I need her. I already have Storm X, so it doesn't really matter. And then we land on Domino, and I ended up duping my Domino. So now that is an immediate rank 3 for Battlegrounds. Rank 3, she gets critical failure. I'm probably going to high sig her, so she's just going to do free damage. She's going to be an absolute unit for Battlegrounds. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, it's probably going to be the last guide that I come out with because I don't have an answer for that Cassie path, and I feel like it's going to be very tough, and I might have to farm revives, which is going to take too much time, and I feel like it's going to be too late by then. You guys are going to have other guides. So this is probably the last guide that I do, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was a wild journey. You know, I'm happy that you guys enjoy the guides. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you all in the next one.